when you say red wine with ice cream, what together?
Yeah.
Or
together.
Or ice cream and a glass of wine?
No.
Welcome to the Just Pull the Trigger podcast.
We talk to people who have made the pivot, whether in business, career or life.
And find out what happens when you stop overthinking and just go for it.
In today's episode, we're chatting to Neil Walker, founder of The English Vine. In the episode, we talk about hosting wine nights for swingers, how to open a bottle of wine with a shoe, and how costly being sucked into the AI rabbit hole can be. All this to come on Just Pull the Trigger.
Me being me, I started thinking about what wine I would take
to a swingers party.
Yeah, because I was thinking there's enough going through your mind. So you don't want a complex wine. You want something really simple that is a bit of a glugger.
Yeah.
And I was just like, seriously now, it doesn't matter what wine you do.
Is there any grape that is more of an aphrodisiac than anyone else?
Well, what I was thinking was you could pair it with something like oysters or something
Chocolate
like that.
or something.
Yeah. So I then started going, you're way overcomplicated.
Are you recording this? We're just let's use it.
Done.
Yeah. All right, cool. But yeah, like that would be maybe that's an angle you need to work.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think, niche.
Money's money, mate. Sex parties.
So what I was a bit pissed off about was we've been asked to do like a magic mic thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I had no idea how much to charge for this. So I went to my friends. I was just like, well, my girlfriend's not. It sounds like, friends.
Yeah.
And I said, how much would you pay? And they all came back and said, is it for you or someone else? And I was like, you cheeky. So I went back going, why would that change the price?
Who's doing it?
Fantastic. So is that like a sort of a stripper would come around to the house and then you'd be the...
I think they want to do, because we do like brunches.
Okay.
So it's just someone, like loads of people come up and just be like, can you do this for us? And I always go, we can pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
It's just, I think to make money on that, you need a big warehouse.
Yeah. So where are you doing this then?
We're just starting.
No. So the wine tasting, for argument's sake. Like,
so something like that would get a warehouse and just do a ticket price for it.
Right.
I don't think the wine's the most important thing at the moment.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm going around going, so what? Ignore him.
I'm getting sweaty abs off this one. Neil, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Yeah, so if you could just let us know a bit about English Vine. So it's a wine shop, and have you got a bar as well?
Yeah, it's a bit of everything. So we started in 2019. Right. So basically I was in another career, went around the world and thought, let's become a winemaker. So went back to university, not realising that uni can be boring sometimes. So I was in a soil science lecture, which I'm sure some people find it very interesting. I didn't. And then I thought, actually, here's the gap in the market. So let's start a company called The English Vine. And it's just grown since 2019. So we're a bit of everything at the moment. So I make wine, import wine, export wine, sell other people's English wine. And then we've started opening bars, but we do lots of events. So that was kind of the natural progression for us. So anything wine, we're involved in. And also spirits, beers, and so forth. We have lots of contacts there.
Nice.
So when you're doing the sort of wine tasting, have you got a place that you would do it, or you would just sort of like rent a location and do it there?
Yeah, so all over the place. So we've got our place in Chelmsford now. So people come to that. We do monthly different ones. Okay. And our wine tastings are a little bit different. Because what I found is some of them can be horrifically boring.
Yep.
So you're there going, oh, who can taste and smell like a ripe lychee? And I'm going, what's the difference between a lychee and a ripe lychee? Yeah. So we just try and what I try and do is bring the stories of the wine. Yeah. Because with wine, you either like it or not. And yes, you can talk about it and go into a huge amount of depth, but that's the bottom line. Yeah. You like it, you don't. Yeah. So we do lots at the bars, but also we get asked to do lots of different events, from in the middle of the field to warming up events to I did one in the summer in a swimming pool. That was quite weird. So it's just like, we like to do different because they're fun, and then you try and accommodate everyone's requests and what they require.
Do you find it's just basically people that kind of bluntly want to get pissed?
A little bit.
But in a bit of more of like a civilised manner.
So it's quite funny when you get there, and you try not to judge people, but you can see the people who want to get on it.
The fire starters.
Yeah. 'Cause you'll give them tasting glasses, and you can see them looking at it going, "This is not very big," and you're like, "Yeah, we're doing 10 wines tonight," and they get on it quickly. And then you get the ones who are trying to impress, which we don't normally like that, who have literally learnt what a geranium smells like and be like, "I smell geranium," but they say that about every single wine. But yeah,
One of them's going to be right.
that's what you just do. The thing about wine as well, I'll give you a little tip, is so when you're trained, they say this is what you should be smelling in the wine, and you're like there going, what does a geranium smell like? And I remember being in B&Q when I was doing my wine qualifications, smelling a geranium, and I was like, if anyone comes up to me and goes, "What are you doing?" And I'll be like, "Doing my wine qualification." That's why I smell things. But then you're eventually told after about 6 months that your palate is unique to you. So what you smell
It's different to everyone.
Yeah. And the fun thing about it is when you get confident with it, you can start having fun with it and start introducing like new terms into it. And the crazier the term goes, the more people think that must be a real term. So you can be like, "Oh, I taste this wine. I smell like a rainy road on a Californian day." And more often than not, someone goes, "Yeah, I smell that as well." And I'll go, "Really?"
Well, funny you should say that. Whenever I've done a wine tasting and the guy's going, "Oh, you can taste like summer fruits and or whatever," and you just go, "Yeah, I can." I'm thinking, I don't know.
Smells like wine.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I do a lot of sensory science, which is how plants, music, anything impacts the experience of wine.
Yeah.
So we did one experiment where we put different flowers on the table, and it actually changes the taste of the wine. So there is some science behind it, but sometimes people get way overcomplicated with it. So, and wine's very much emotion, experience. That's why I love wine more than any other alcoholic drink, because it transports me back to these like memories. So it's just about, for me, experiencing new wine. And that's what we always try and do, is because people are set in their ways. So more often than not, someone will be like, "I don't know, I've drunk Bordeaux my whole life. That's all I drink." And you're just like, "Why don't you try this?" Or the other one, people who say, "I don't like Chardonnay." So Chardonnay is the most planted grape in the world, and the variations of Chardonnay are just monstrous. So you will like a Chardonnay, but you just need to find the right one to taste. So that's what we try and experiment a bit on.
I think you're right in the experience side of things, because obviously, like, I actually don't drink anymore, to be honest with you. But when I was drinking, I'd have a red next to a roaring fire, but then you might go to Spain and have a rosé whilst you're having a dinner at the beach. So those two different drinks are two different experiences.
Yeah. And have you ever gone on holiday, had a wine, then bought some, brought it back, and then had it in the UK, and it's been absolutely horrific?
Actually.
So I've done that. So, but when you're on holiday, say there, you're normally relaxed, you're with a loved one, you've got the whole experience, and you're thinking, that's lovely, but it's more about the experience. Then you come back to the UK, it's a rainy day, you've had a not a very good day, let's put it that way, and you think, let's go back to that memory, and then you open it and you're like, yeah, I'm in a completely different emotional state. It doesn't taste like that. There is a bit more science about sometimes on holiday you're a bit more dehydrated, so it hides some of the bitter notes. But yeah, that's just the joy of wine, where you can get it wrong quite a lot of the time. And I'm the worst person to go out wine drinking with, because I'll look at a wine list and I'll go for the one I've never heard of. Oh, really? And there's normally a reason why I've never heard of, because it's not very nice. And I remember once after lockdown one, I got the wine menu and I was out with a group of friends, and I'd been doing a lot of reading on Bulgarian wine, which is good. And I did this whole spiel about up and coming Bulgarian wine, and then I tasted the wine and I was like, that's one of the worst wines I've ever tasted. But of course there was nothing wrong with it, so we had to drink it, and the abuse I got for the rest of the night was astronomical.
So do you have to choose? Like, if you're out with like a group of 10 people, do they always just turn to you, obviously, if you know what you're talking about?
And what I learned, so when I first... Pressure? Yes and no. When I first started it, a lot of pressure, and you could try and think, well, what's going to please everyone? And then you get to the point where I'm just going to get a wine I'm happy with. And then at least one person around this table is happy. But you can go for like crowd pleasers. So you can go for one that, a group of individuals, or quite often take like a Portuguese wines. They do a lot of blends. So people will recognize a characteristic of that grape. So you can sometimes not cheat, but you can go for a safe option. Not your Bulgarians Pinot Noirs, which are fun, but just be careful.
So would you say that say you wouldn't touch, knowing now what you know about wine and your experience, you wouldn't touch like something bog standard in the supermarket sort of thing?
No. Well, I say that I always get asked what's the best wine in the world, and it's the one you like. So if you like the
Echo Falls.
I was going to say, I think there's a Savvy Bee in Tesco's at the moment for about $5.99.
Yeah.
If you like that, keep on drinking it, like, because we're all different. But no, my kind of budget on wine's gone up slightly. But that's also good, because just going back to, like, I tend to now drink a lot less since I got into wine, because I'm not going to drink that wine because I just don't like it. I kind of wait for those special moments before I open a bottle.
So in a previous life, you weren't always into the wine industry. You were a banker, was that?
I was, yep.
Yeah. You were, was it for like 14 years, was it?
Yeah. So I went to uni, and basically, I always think it's interesting in life, you have those sliding door moments. So I finished, and I was going to become a primary school teacher, got on the course, but then also got offered a graduate scheme at a bank. And thought, I'll go for a year to pay off my student loan. And then 15 years later, 14 years later, whatever it was, thinking, what am I doing here? I was working abroad at the time, and I remember I went to a risk committee. And if you work in finance or something like that, you know what I mean, how exciting these meetings are. So I think we started at 8 in the morning and finished at like 8 at night. And I remember looking around the room, and everyone was male, pale and stale, and I was like, this is the worst boy band in the world. And I called up my boss, and I was like, why haven't you retired? And he was like, oh, I have to spend time with my wife. And I was like, I just went, I'm sorry, I quit. So quit, went round the world, and then in New Zealand, I was like, what am I passionate about? Which is a really hard question to... It
is hard.
And I was just like, what am I passionate about? And there's a vineyard.
I'm a pisshead.
So I found this. I'd done a bungee jump in the morning, and I was with my 2-year-old. He didn't do the bungee jump. And then we went to the vineyard. He wasn't drinking. He was just driving. But it's Felton Road Bannockburn.
Right.
And I started talking to the winemaker, and it's a delicious Pinot Noir. And then I was just like, it kept on sticking with me, going, oh, I want to do that. So that night I got home and applied for a winemaking course, and then that's how it all started. So that's going around the world thinking, let's find my passion. And I thought, well, it could be wine. And then, of course, it evolves. Like, it's not every day I wake up and go, wine. You kind of evolve that and build it, and then it's fun.
So what was your first sort of step into the business side of the wine?
Probably while I was studying. I think it was just realizing, like, there's a lot of wine in the UK that is same, like, liquid, different label, and sometimes we don't get the most unique wines from around the region. So there's a lot of small importers that bring a lot of exciting stuff, and I was just like, that's what I want to do. I want to go out to a region, talk to the winemakers, get the ones I'm excited about, then bring them back. Instead of going to some places and being like, oh, this is a bit boring.
So you're saying it's like basically OEM stuff, like the same
white labeling, basically. Different.
And like sometimes I don't know if we should name names, but Yellowtail. So basically, it's a genius business model. They buy basically the worst grapes, and from a winemaking process, it's really quite impressive what they do. But they don't buy the best grape, put it in, and then they export it across here. So the quality you're getting is not the quality of a more expensive one, and what they've done with taste is quite impressive to get what they get from it. But I was like, actually, I want to talk to people who are trying to help the environment, trying to bring the story, or have made mistakes, or 7th generation, or just fun people where it's just like, this is my passion, this is what I want to do. So I meet a lot of interesting people, and sometimes I sell one wine, and I remember turned up, and the guy said, "Parlez-vous le français?" So do you speak French? And I went, "No." And we both laughed. And then he spoke to me for an hour in French. So I have no idea about the history or story of this wine, but it's delicious wine. So I have that on my list, and that's what I tell people going, I don't know anything.
You literally just smile and nodded for an hour.
Yeah, for an hour. So, but yeah, that's what I love, like fun stories like that. And yeah, we've done some really fun things, like one wine we found. I said, oh, do you like ship it anywhere? And the guy was like, yes. I said, oh, where to? And he was like, a mile outside of the vineyard. And I was like, what about UK? He was like, oh, oof, how do we do that? So that's where you have the romance, but then you start to get into logistics and getting through borders and
taxes and stuff like that.
Yeah, which make you cry. But yes, it's tough. Like we had a launch of so the wine I make in Provence, we had a launch. And it's fine once you get it on the big transporters, but it's the bit before. So it's the 5 miles to get it there. And I called up saying, all on track? And they were like, oh, Maurice didn't really fancy it this morning. And I was like, what do you mean he didn't fancy it? Oh, yeah, he didn't have a good night's sleep, had a few too many wines last night. And I was like, we have the launch on Saturday. Yeah. Like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was quite a stressful.
And Maurice is just the guy that's taking it from the vineyard to the borders or whatever.
Yeah, but of course you then have all your set slots from a
it's a domino effect.
Yeah, and then we thought we were fine, and it was the first time our cargo got inspected at customs, and it was just a random check, but it was literally the night before. So I'm like, they're going, why is it being stopped? And you don't know until everything opens at 9 o'clock, and they were like, yeah, it's just a random check. Don't worry about it. Everything's cleared. So.
Yeah.
And this is launching, going into your warehouse to be sold online?
Yeah, this was launching in the bar. We had like a weekend of events planned at different bars, at different places. And I was just like, I'm quite creative, but I thought, am I literally going to be there with an empty glass going, what you would have been tasting? Yeah. So, but yeah, that's where it's fun, but it's not the romantic side.
Yeah. And do you, is there been ever a moment that you sort of like, this is too hard. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, most days. I still remember one of the funniest. So started, and we do a lot of like events, farmers markets, and so forth. And I love doing them because I get to talk directly to people. Yeah. So, and the other thing about it is I can try wines that I really like, but I don't know if the customers are going to like. So I like getting that direct feedback. And I was in this Christmas cabin and on a high street, and I was looking across at the bank I used to work, and it was just like, I think 18 months after leaving it, and it was something like -2, snowing.
Yeah.
And I was freezing. And I was just looking across going, what have I done?
Yeah.
But it's, I think when you own your business, you are slightly crazy because you think you're having a great week, and then just something that will hit you that you thought, I wasn't expecting that. Or, it's just, and sometimes they all happen on the same day. I find that more often than not. And you're just like there going, wow, why did that happen? And I think one of the biggest adjustments for me was how lonely it is being a business owner. Like, you're just like, you can't go, and you take everything. Sometimes one of the things I had to learn is don't take everything personally into your company. But it can be really hard sometimes.
When you first start, when we were like that, people would phone up and have a go at you, and you'd just be like, yes sir, and you just wanted to tell him to get lost. But that's what people are like. It's just, I just don't take it personally anymore.
No, and people almost do it for a rise out of you rather than them being actually cheesed off. Like, there's some, I know I've got mates who like to just complain. Like, I'll say my brother-in-law, he just goes out and it'll be a rarity that he doesn't complain at a restaurant.
Yeah.
But he gets a rise out of it because he thinks, I might be able to get something for it, or it's just his way of playing. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're right. You can't take it personally, and it's just part and parcel of everyday life.
I think it's also because you have a passion for it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you don't understand why no one else has the same passion for you.
Yeah.
And also like employing staff, I've always found that quite interesting. I was like, why aren't they as excited about everything like this for me? Why don't they find the Christmas cabins being -2 quite fun? So, and then you're like,
come on, get up at 6 in the morning.
Yeah. What's your problem? So that's been the adjustment. And when you work for a big corporate, you do have a safety net.
I was just going to say, so how many staff do you have? So because you've got, on the website I saw you've only got a handful, but is there more behind the scenes?
So when I started, I thought it's quite interesting. So when I worked in banking, I outsourced a lot. I set up contracts or went to different countries. When I started my own company again, probably a slight mistake I made was I thought I want control of everything. And then after about 2 years, I was talking to someone who's like a bit of a mentor, and he was like, "What would you done when you were working for the bank?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." So I did a bit of consultancy on myself,
Right, yeah.
And that's where I was just like, actually, so take fulfillment. I had it in house. Why?
Yeah.
Like it's just so much cheaper when you outsource
Yeah.
it. So what we try and do is keep it really small, lean, and it just makes it much more agile. Also as well, if I ever will sell, it makes it, in my view, a lot
course,
more
Yeah.
appealing to be like,
Yeah.
you don't have all these staff. Like
Yeah.
at the moment with the website, so I used to do a lot of work with AI and automation. That's where I'm going, actually, there's a lot of tools out there that you can use to make your life a lot easier. And again, make life look a lot more appealing, make the product look a lot more appealing for others. So yeah, so that's what we're trying to do. But again, sometimes, especially with AI, there's so many red herrings with it. It's
Yeah.
just like, use something that's worthwhile for the problem you have, not just, oh, there's this shiny thing that I don't need, but let's do it.
Yeah,
totally.
definitely. So what sort of functions are you putting in AI wise to the business that's worked or not worked? Or?
Yes, I suppose that we had a few bottlenecks, like adding new products. It just took too long.
Yep.
When all the information's out there already. I suppose so. There's that where, yeah, getting new product online, and we're piloting stuff at the moment. So when I'm in, say, the last place I was Germany, tasting wines. How can we be out there, do something like videos where we automatically gets put into the website, so people in real time, instead of what we did have was we'd come back, write all our notes,
Yeah.
and so forth, where we can just do it. Here's what I'm tasting. Here's the notes that I think. Let's put all the other material. So what I mean by that is some of the key questions for us is it vegan? Is it organic? Well, a bot can do that for me
Yeah.
and find out all that information. So that's one of the area. I suppose the other thing where we're trialing it at the moment is with our like customer base. So we do B2B and B2C.
Yeah.
So it's, again, how can we be much better customer service and do a bit more of the, not pushing sales, but for instance, we can profile people on their like tastes for
Yeah.
wine. So if we get a new wine, how can we do that? Start the conversation with them that is not an email and quite old fashioned.
Yeah.
We did look at doing a AI sommelier, which a few people are doing. And I was testing one the other week. Someone asked me to test it, and what made me laugh was the sommelier said to me, "Yeah, I tasted this last week," and I was just like, "Oh, how did you do that?" So I think it's how to speed up stuff is what's helping us. But I think what I'd say to anyone with AI is you can waste a heck of a lot of money and time. So just be careful with it, and still the principles of what is the problem or what is the opportunity you're trying to overcome or achieve. So for us, why we're using that automation is we found it too slow because we got the excitement in the vineyard in another country, and it was too slow to get it back on the website. So customers had forgotten it. So they were like, so they'd see us on social going, "Oh, I'd love to taste that wine."
Yeah, but it's not online.
Yeah. So like by the time we've got it back in the country, all of this, it's just
Weeks later or something, yeah.
They were like, "What was that?" Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It. So for us, we were like, that's our challenge. What do we need to do to overcome it without hiring 5 more people to overcome? So that's what we kind of do.
And those customer interactions that you were talking about, is that a chatbot online or?
Yeah. And I think it's one of the things with, in my view, with AI that we haven't got right is how it interacts with customers. Because I've been there where it just annoys you so much.
Yeah.
So how do you let people have the choice to be like, look, this is what we can do. Here's the information, but we're going to tell you that it's a chatbot.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You don't pull all over someone like that.
No, I think you've got to be quite open with it because people do smell it.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's so common now that you could say, yeah, I'm the wine tasting sommelier chatbot sort of thing. So people go, oh, okay, and then they I guess they have that kind of a bit more empathy for like what's being delivered to them, and then
take like an example. So where it works well. So if you're cooking something and you want advice on what to have with that meal, what wine. Actually, an AI
Absolutely, yeah.
is going to do exactly the same as me. So you don't need that. Whereas, so that's where there are times and places where it's perfect. But there's also time if people have had a bad experience, like, I don't know, wine's got broken in the post, it's just like, okay, maybe let's not go the AI route. Can I have your order
if you've got an
number?
angry customer, then maybe you need to swerve the AI, don't you?
Yeah. And also what really annoys me is if you've ever used them, where they said, oh, what topic would you like to talk about? And the topic is not there that you want to talk about. And you're just going in this circle and you're like, I'm getting so annoyed.
And you just guess, is it under that category? No.
So, but it's amazing. And I think it's great.
Have you ever tried, because we're looking into it at the moment, because one of our biggest things is get efficiency with ordering stock.
Yep.
So I just wondered if you had any experience, because to me, that's something that if we've got a lot of stock and we're reordering it over and over again, can AI be efficient in that over a human doing it?
So we're looking at that exact issue,
right?
Because one of the challenges we have with wine is cash flow.
Yep.
You have so much in your warehouse.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So at the moment we have low stock levels.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, right, how can we do that? And what we're trying to do is, write some rules to be like, okay, this is a high end, it's going to continue on the menu. How do we order that? Or this is a very unique bottle, very expensive. Don't do that, and try and link it into cash flow as well.
Yeah.
Because there's all of that. So we're thinking about the same instead of having someone on a day just go down and be like, let's order more of that. Yeah, but I think there needs to be a bit of development, but I definitely see the opportunity.
Yeah, we've tried it. I mean, we've been doing it like 20 years. So like, there's about half a dozen people I think have done ordering over that sort of time, and then you did it a bit, didn't you? And then I was like, I've created this spreadsheet and stuff like that, and it works, but then it's so manual, and you only have to press something wrong, and it's like, oh my god, something's completely gone wrong, and then you just don't know. You start again basically, but. It is finding that balance between cash flow, like you say, holding enough stock that you got enough to sell, but obviously, like someone's not coming to you going, we've got nothing in the bank.
Yeah.
It's basically,
it's
all
exactly
tied up with whatever's on the shelf and it's not going anywhere.
Like I walk around the warehouse going,
why have we bought that?
So there definitely is going to be improvements I see. It's just how to do that, because also when you're ordering, well, I do this, I'll be like, I'll order a bit more of that, and there's sometimes it'd be better actually AI ordering instead of me.
You want to take the emotion out of it, don't
totally.
you? You don't. You don't
I like
go,
that.
Oh yeah,
I'll order more.
Oh,
of
we
that.
sell loads of those, and you haven't actually looked at it.
Yeah, I'll have a couple bottles for Christmas.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So how is I would have thought logistically selling wine online, the actual sort of like transport and stuff like that, is that challenging?
So I suppose at one point in my journey, I was going to start a courier company because because the thing I love about, and I'm generalizing couriers, is they come to your place and they very delicately, you see them outside lobbing all the stuff to you, and they very delicately put your box at the back, and then you like see them and at the next place they're lobbing you. So I suppose we now pay more on packaging, because what we were finding was breakages, and again, it's the customer blames you for the courier. Even though you don't own
exactly.
So we were like, well, what can we do to impact this? So yes, we've changed couriers so many times. We've got someone that we think are quite good, but we've had to pay more on packaging. Which then you have to try and explain to the customer, why does delivery cost this much? And that's one of the hardest thing with e-commerce, because Amazon took it to the next level. And then you're trying to compete with that, but you're a small scale, and you're like going, look, this is why, because if they have a breakage, they don't care, they just send the number.
Exactly,
Whereas, so that's the challenge with it at the moment, but I think we're there. So
I think we were talking about Ross earlier, weren't we? Like, there's when you're the business owner, so you know the costs that are around it, but the customer's just like, well, why does that cost me a tenner? It only cost me, I know it only costs a £5 to ship that, or something like. And you're like, well, the packaging that you're going to get around that is going to be keeping it safe. They don't care about that. They just don't care, and it's difficult to convey that, and it's just one of those things that I think is always going to be there, especially when people are like, I can get that cheaper in the supermarket.
Yeah, I get that so often, like, and that's one of the hardest things. But I think it's, how do you sit down and I think that's why I don't like the word tribes, but how do you get your collection of loyal customers that understand because you've explained them? And that's one of the reasons why we went into physical locations, because we were like, actually, that gives us, we can talk to people face to face instead of having that 20 seconds or what's it, something like 100 characters that people read online before they make their decision. How can you say, look, this is one of the reasons, like this is a unique bottle, so we're going to package it like this. And yes, you can get something cheaper in the supermarket, but it's not as unique, and this is what they're trying to achieve. So it's just trying to get that whole story, which is hard.
I suppose you're going maybe a little bit, obviously, more high end than the supermarkets. I mean, do they sell many English wines? I can't imagine they do.
They are more. So yeah, I think all of them now do. And it's about, again, explaining, because we had one wine that we sold loads of, and it went in the supermarket, and they could undercut us by quite a significant. I was like, how are they doing that? And I was like, they're doing that because they're buying at this quantity. So with that one, we actually no longer sell it because we're like, we can't compete.
What's the point?
You can get it. So I think it's, going, what is our unique selling point? And I think how we evolved, so I never started the company just to focus on English wine, but it was COVID, so I couldn't travel abroad. So that's where we started. We've got an arm of the English vine called the Secret Vine, which is wines from around the world where we're doing research and importing in, and all of them have unique stories and you can't get elsewhere. So that's kind of our niche.
That's your angle.
Yeah, and whether this is right or wrong, we do the same margin, whether the cheapest bottle to the most expensive, because our philosophy is we want you to taste that wine. And I think that's fair to customers. Look, we're not making more on that or that. It's
we do similar. We literally go, right, this is our margin, this is what we work to, you know, so we know how it makes accounting and everything and your projections easier as well, you know. But I mean, English wine, is it? I've always, just from my perspective, English wine's always maybe got a bad reputation. So
so
tell me different, please.
So English wine's been around a long time. When it was called British wine, however I would do this is the technical definition, it was shit. But it's really changed over the last few years. So wine in this country, the Romans brought it across, but it was even before then. So there is, not too far away from here, there's records that the signing of the Magna Carta, wine was brought from Essex, and they had it there, but it was kind of like what the monks made, so it was like 6-7%. It was rising as an industry, but during the wars, it kind of fell away. Then people started planting, and it was people kind of experimenting. So some of the wines were very young grapes. The winemakers didn't know what they're doing, so it wasn't very good wine. Where it's, and I would probably, people will argue this, but I would probably say the 90s, 2000s, that's where the industry started changing, because also the climate was changing. So global warming is not good. It's actually really helping the wine industry across here. And that's where you've got a lot of international winemakers. I went to university to learn how to make wine, and the experience is coming back. Saying all that, so sparkling wine is world class like now, so it takes on champagne. So my research was on English wine versus champagne in a blind tasting, which was quite interesting because the first 8 wines was completely blind, and English sparkling wine came first, second, third and 7th out of 8.
Wow.
And when you're doing experiments, you basically lie to people. So we then said, you're tasting 8 different wines in the afternoon, go and reset your palate because you get a thing called palate fatigue. So in the afternoon...
Same ones.
Yeah, exactly the same ones. And English sparkling wine came second, 6th, 7th and 8th, just because people were like, oh yeah, I've had that before, let's do. So sparkling wine is, fantastic. White wines, I would say, again, world class now. Not all of them. And don't get me wrong, in any wine regions, you get good and bad ones. Reds are the challenge at the moment because there's a couple of reasons. So English reds are light, fun reds. So if you say you don't like reds, start with an English red because that's quite...
lighter,
it is expensive in this country and a lot can go wrong with making an English red. So that's why they're so expensive. And again, it's explaining that because people are like, well, why am I spending... 30 quid on an English Pinot Noir when I can get a vintage bottle from, or like a a very decent Bordeaux wine.
Yeah.
And that's about the communication, to be like, it's different. It's a different taste because of the climate. It's going to be lighter. And people who make reds in this country, there are some really good ones, and I'm really impressed with what they can do. I don't have the guts to do it. That's why mine's from Provence, where I can experiment with the grapes. I can do lots with them. I can oak them, which isn't going to have a big impact. So to answer your question in a long-winded way, yeah, it's come a long, long way. And in whites and sparkling, it's now world class. But definitely try the reds, but don't go in there going, this is going to be a heavy red.
Yeah.
That's not what English reds are about.
And you didn't mention rosé. Is that just like a Provence thing, or
no? So
not necessarily Provence, but not English, should I say?
Yeah, there's lots of English rosés out there.
And they're good?
Yeah, so in the UK, we have been spoilt. I'm going to blame Mateus Rosé.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know if you ever remember that bottle.
Yeah, like the on the circuit.
Yeah. Everyone remembers having it on holiday. So people have this perception that rosé needs to be pale rosé from Provence.
It's Whispering Angel now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, I make a Provence style rosé.
Right.
But don't be put off by the darker like colours. It doesn't mean it's sweet. It doesn't mean it's cheap. It's just the colour of the grapes. And what a lot of winemakers will do for the UK market is they actually blend the wine with a white wine or a really light rosé to give that colour.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't mention it just because I don't know.
It's funny you should say that, because I was absolutely that rosé snob. When you go to a restaurant and they go, I've got this one or this one. You go, and I used to say, can I see the bottle? And the bloke used to be walking over, and I didn't even have to talk to him. One looked like Tizer, and one looked really pale, and I just go, that one, please, not that one, you know?
So we do sometimes. We were talking about wine tasting earlier. So I have black glasses, so you can't actually see the colour.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And I do this quite often with rosé. I've got a really dark rosé from like Rioja that is, I think, delicious.
Yeah.
So I give it to people to taste, and lovely. And then you pour it into like a clear glass, and I don't like it. Yeah. And I was like, you've just tasted it, and I'm like, I don't like it anymore. But that's
just a mental thing from the visual.
Yeah.
I suppose you eat with your eyes, and then maybe you sort of drink with your eyes a little bit. So.
And again, that's part of the experience with wine. So you can knock it, and I know I can say all this, but actually, in the bar I've tried dark and like the pale will always win every time, just because that's what people want, and be like, I want a dry pale rosé. So Whispering Angel, although they have brought out a cheaper version, which I hate to say is all right.
What's it called?
I can't remember. Someone gave
Can't be that good.
Yeah. Someone gave me a sample, and I was like, oh yeah, this is quite good. So yeah.
What from my perspective, it seems like people are getting like more into their health and stuff like that. Do you see that sort of movement where people are drinking less, or has it affected you at all? Or
so our bar/cafe, because I think now in hospitality is really hard at the moment. You've probably read all the stories. You need that venue to be working all the time.
Yeah.
So from morning to evening.
Yeah.
And why I mention this is we do a lot of matches at the moment. Like that is the new trend.
Yeah.
So with wine, what I am seeing is it's very generational based. So and I'm generalizing here, and there's exceptions to the rules, but you have the old generation don't care. They're going to carry on drinking.
Agreed. Yeah.
Their Bordeaux, Riojas, or whatever. What I am finding though is newer generations want the story, want it to be organic, want it to be like using the land, and so forth. They drink less but are willing to spend more, which I find quite interesting. Yeah. And then some people just don't want to drink, which is absolutely fine. And it's, for me, where you have to in hospitality is you have to say the story of everything you're doing, even if it's a cheese toasty.
Yeah.
What is the experience of this cheese toasty? Else people are just like, I can make a cheese toasty at home, and that's like going, how do you get them back? And it's fascinating because with some of the natural wines and things called pet nats, which is again how the monks used to make like sparkling wine, are becoming really trendy. And some of these drinks, like I'll drink them and be like, so with natural wine you can sometimes smell raw eggs, sewage, and you have flavors like this. And I'm like going, are you really enjoying that, or is it just to be kind of this trend? like setting.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to kind of watch that dynamic. And I think that's what we try and do, is to try and get people to taste new things, to be like, I'm going to tell you now, you're not going to like every wine in our wine shop because it's very personal, but it's that experience and fun to be going, oh, this is my Marmite wine. You're either going to love it or hate it.
Yeah.
So that's why I love it. That's why I find wine fascinating, is to just try and get people to like experience. So we do a thing on Thursday called Thirsty Thursdays, where I will open different wines. And we nearly had a divorce a couple of weeks ago because I did orange wine, which is not made from oranges. It's to do with skin contact. And this couple came in, and the bloke had a little taste, and he was like, "That is lovely, nicest wine I've ever had." So I poured them 2 glasses, and the wife had a sip, and she was like, "That's disgusting! Why have you poured me this? This is awful!" And I was like, "I can give you another glass. Don't get a divorce over the wine." So yeah, that's the fun of it.
Is there, I mean, like Paul mentioned about people being health conscious, is there, I mean, is non-alcoholic wine a dirty word, or is that kind of, you know, is there actually any sort of decent quality ones?
It's tough. So so there's more and more coming on. So why I pause is, so for instance, with my wine, I can make it non-alcoholic, but I have to basically do reverse engineering.
Right.
So I'm doing double the process. I'm going to lose some of the flavors. So alcohol gives body to your drink, which is what you get. So I can make it non-alcoholic, but then it's doubling the price.
Right.
So it's trying to explain that to people.
Yeah.
People expect it to be cheaper, don't they?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where it's not like with beer where you've got the mass production. With wine, if you want a good quality non-alcoholic wine, you need to charge double the price.
Right.
There's a lot of people are making quite good non-alcoholic wine. Like we've got one, and I was like, what's the definition of a wine? Because they're putting a lot of green teas in it. So it's more kind of that juice element to it, which we sell one of them, and it's very pleasant. Like I've had it. So that's the difficulty with non-alcoholic wine. And sometimes people come in and I'll be like, I'd recommend you apple ties. That's a lot nicer. So that's the challenge with wine. It's getting that perception and price point. So it's just like, I can make you a really good non-alcoholic wine, but it's going to be 50 quid, not 25 quid.
Yeah.
Are you willing to spend that? Or do you just get a bottle of apple
I
ties?
think they're probably comparing it to beer as well, because beer is getting really close.
Yeah.
To know, especially Guinness.
Yeah.
You know, the Guinness Zero, you almost can't tell the difference, and it's generally cheaper than the alcohol. So I think people just, again, it's one of those things that just go, they mirror it and go, why is this not adding up? You know.
Yeah. So that's the challenge in the industry at the moment. And like we sell a lot of kombuchas. And again, that's probably a good substitute for a non-alcoholic wine.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. There was lots of people started doing it. It's the noise of, we've got another non-alcoholic wine now, that's dying down in my view. What is coming a bit more apparent is low alcoholic wines.
Right.
But that's still 7%.
Right.
Because again, with that body, that's what the alcohol you kind of need in the wine.
Right.
Because even with beers, if you ever do a taste comparison, the first taste now is nearly exactly the same.
Yep.
It's the secondary and third taste that you have, and that's, for me, is not having alcohol. That's where the structure kind of disappears.
So the low alcohol versus the standard alcohol content, would that pretty much taste the same?
No. But it just has enough body to make it, for me, to make it an enjoyable drink, that you can be like, yes, I'm drinking a wine, I'm getting some of the benefits, but it's not a 15%.
Yeah.
It's now like a 7% or something like that. And also, duties now changed a lot. So we've gone to a simpler system where we went from one duty code to about, I think, 17 duty codes. And the higher alcohol is now taxed more.
Right.
So again, some people are like, oh, why is this £2 more? And I was like, duty. So, but again, it's everything in moderation. Like, let's just be sensible. I think we kind of need to go back to people just using common sense. I remember once, and this is again, I would say this at tasting, generally if you drink organic wines, you will get less of a hangover.
Right.
And then this woman emailed me and said, oh, I've got a hangover. what happened? And I replied back going, can I just
Drink 20 bottles.
So I went back and said, oh, what happened? And she said, oh yeah, I drank this one, I drank that one. Between two of them, they had 6 bottles of organic wine. And I was like, that's your issue. Yeah. So that's my caveat now.
Natural, is that, I mean, I've heard of biodynamic. Is that the same sort of term? Or because I've had a biodynamic wine and you do have less of a, you wake up feeling fresh.
Yeah, so biodynamic wine.
Feeling fresh.
Yeah, well, I've done about that.
Marketing.
I love biodynamic wines. So it was a German agriculturalist basically came up with these principles. Why it's so good with wine is you have to spend more time in the vineyard and you pick at different cycles like moon cycles. You put sheep's horn when you're in the vineyard. You dance naked. You don't dance naked, but I always think. So you're not spraying. But then there's the flip side. Why biodynamic is so expensive is there was a vineyard in the UK that are biodynamic and you get disease in every single vineyard in the world. You can't spray because you're biodynamic.
Right.
They lost 95% of their crop. So then when you're explaining to a customer, that's why the bottle's so expensive.
Yeah.
People are like, why didn't they just spray? And you're like, they
can't.
can't. You can spray, but you can't spray what you sometimes need. With natural wine, natural wines, they don't put sulfites in.
Right.
So sulfites keep the quality of the wine. And if you're shipping a wine from New Zealand to the UK, you need to put something there. And you can get organic sulfites or man-made sulfites and so forth. So natural wines, you basically got about 6 weeks before it starts really going downhill. So my tip for natural wine is drink it at the vineyard because that's what the winemaker is, the story they're trying to get into the natural wine. Whereas if you're drinking it a year's time in East London, it's already gone off, and that's where you get sometimes this shoe smell in your wine. But you can still drink it and be like, yeah, I'm really trendy, I'm drinking a trainer. But yeah, that would be my, if you're going to drink natural wine, drink it at the vineyard. That's where you're going to get the impression of what the winemaker's trying to do there.
Wow. So biodynamic sounds like, from a business point of view, do people shy away from that because of that
it's interesting. So
issue?
No, so I think people like the principles, and where people, again, going back to common sense. So I think I was reading somewhere, I don't know how true this fact is, something like 8 out of the 10 top vineyards, wines in the world use biodynamic principles, but they don't put biodynamic on the label because if they do need to intervene, they
can do.
It gives a wriggle room.
Yeah. So, and that's why they'll put organic, because you can follow organic principles without being biodynamic. And I think that's where we need to get to, is let's try and do everything we can to support the land, support everything. But at the end of the day, there are times and places where you need to intervene because, like in this country, for instance, the weather does not help growing grapes. And you've got the whole season. And global warming around the world at the moment is causing problems with winemaking. Like in Australia, they're getting some really high alcoholic wines before the flavours have developed. So they're thinking, what can we do to combat that? And there will be a shift in different regions going forward. So it's that balance of going, yes, we want to follow these principles, but as a customer, can you understand that sometimes we need to do this, else we're not going to have a wine and we're not going to have a business?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you forget about that, don't you, really, that this whole global warming is going to play into it so much. So, yeah. So going back to sort of your sort of personal journey, Paul mentioned that you were, and even on the website, you say you're dyslexic. You're open about that. How's that? Have you found being a business owner, has that been a bit of a superpower, or is it more of a hindrance, or a bit of blend of both?
Superpowers. You come up with some really funny jokes that no one understands. So I won't say them now, but I love.
Won't understand them.
I remember at my wedding speech, I don't know how I said it, because I basically said, oh, it'd be so much easier if you called dyslexia ABED. Yeah. And then no one laughed, and I was like, oh, that's a dyslexic joke. So, but no, I really like it because you think completely differently. And as you guys will know, being a business owner, you need to, you think, oh, I've got this planned day, and by, I don't know, 8:30, that day is just completely out because something's happened. Mm-hmm. So I think being dyslexic, you think slightly differently, and where which is helpful, but your brain is going super fast and you're like, okay, this has happened, what can I do, how do I do this? So yeah, so I would say I'm glad I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
Not always for that, but it's really helped me out, and I find it fun and just think differently and go, right, okay, how can we do that and relate to people?
I think it's funny that going back to like the dinner, right? And pretty much everyone we've had on this podcast, they're all neurodivergent in some way, shape, or form. Because you just think outside the box. I mean, owning a business is pretty much putting out fires most of the time.
Yeah.
And you just get you just end up making something happen when it shouldn't do. Do you know what I mean? So I think that being neurodivergent is definitely a superpower.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you'd give up if you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like you'd just be like, why am I doing? Why am I putting myself through all this craziness and pain?
Yeah.
But there is that day when it does go to plan,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, this has worked out. So it just keeps you going.
It's kind of not us. We've said before, it's like 90% pain, 10% glory.
Yeah,
And you're just working for that 10% one day, you know.
And the pain just comes quite
Yeah.
after. You don't get to enjoy the glory.
It's also celebrating that 10% as well.
Yeah,
Sometimes you're just like, just going to sit here just in case anything else happens,
Yeah.
instead of really
Lock yourself in a dark room.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
emails, don't.
Yeah.
So, when you were obviously you've been dyslexic, sort of like even when you were at university, how did that sort of pan out? When obviously quite academic, is that?
I think so. One of the things I think, was my best mate. He said, "Not only are you dyslexic, you're ginger and asthmatic."
Triple threat.
And one of the reasons I got into wine was I'm actually celiac. I was working in the Netherlands at the time, and I used to love my craft beer.
Yep.
And then they said, "Oh, you're celiac." Well, actually, they were testing me for everything, and I got a phone call from the doctor, and they were like, "Can you call us urgently?" So I thought, I've got a week to live. So I called them, and I got the receptionist, and she was like, "Oh, the doctor's busy. Let me look at your notes." And she didn't really speak English, which is unheard of in Amsterdam. I'm trying to speak Dutch, which I'm appallingly bad at. Yeah. And then she went, "You've got Selecki." And I was just like, "What's that?" And she was like, "I have no idea." And I was like, "Okay, I've got 24 hours to live." Yeah. And then I went onto Google, and she's spelling it out, and I'm spelling it, and it's celiac, you're allergic to gluten. And I was like, "Oh, that's all right." It's a really good way to give out bad news. So that's how I got into wine as well. But going back to university, I think it's because you adapt all the way through school and stuff, it just helps you. So again, learning is probably, I remember when I was doing my A levels, I had a dartboard and lots of colours, and I would throw darts, learn a topic, and you just come up with ways to overcome everything.
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, that's why I see it as a gift. Like, you just think, right, this is my learning style, this is what I can do, how do I do it? So you give me a textbook, if I'm not in the right frame or don't put the learning process in, I'll just read it and nothing will go in.
Yeah.
I'll read the page and I was like, I have no idea what I've just read there. So it's about how I bring that to life, how I use, I'm quite of a colourful, expressive. That's what I need as well. And again, I learn from inspiring people, like take sorry, your brother-in-law's getting mentioned again, but complaining.
He'd be happy.
I just switch off. That for me. So if ever I had a lecturer who was just boring, I was like, there's no point me turning up, which is really bad advice. You should always turn up for lectures and stuff, but it just wouldn't learn. So I'll be like, right, I'll do this another way, which is probably a little bit arrogant, but I'm like, I can sit here and I will not pay any attention to you whatsoever. So what can I do using that time? Well, let's make it into that journey and bringing it to life.
I think it's interesting, like when sort of, especially with like putting out content and stuff like that, is people will put, so for this will go out as audio, it will go out as visual, and because people will absorb it in different ways. So like you say, you will learn in a different way because you're dyslexic. You might be more of an audio learner, or you might want to watch videos differently. So it's important to, even like with putting out content, that because people will absorb it. You know, people might go, I don't want to watch it on YouTube because I don't take it in. Whereas if I'm in my car or I'm going out for a run or something, that's when I'll really absorb it, or it might be better as a PDF because I'll read it there and I'll absorb it better. So it's, I think that kind of transfers around it just into more of a, like how we operate as a business as well. You've got to do things so differently to reach people in the right way for them to absorb it.
Exactly. Like I was going about meetings, so I'm very much, I I read a study and I quite liked it, but 30 minutes should be your top meeting.
Yeah.
And then after that, you take it offline, which means you actually talk about it, not in the corporate world where it means let's take this offline and never talk about it again.
Yeah.
But I know some people want to sit down, do that, I don't know, fuzzy arms around, let's talk for 2 hours. I switch off.
Yeah.
So again, it's about having that communication with people to be like, look, I know you want a 2 hour meeting, but I will switch off after half an hour. So we need a break.
Yeah.
And go and do something else because I'm already thinking about 10 things while you're talking about the subject. So if you want the best out of me, do it at the beginning and I'll be there. But as soon as you slow down, I'm going to switch off. So it's about being open and, having respect for one another and just being, look, that doesn't work for me. So like I have a phrase, waffle, to one guy who really waffles in my team. And I mean it like we've talked down saying, look, here's an issue for me. You waffle, and I know you're trying to say something that's really important, but by waffling, I'm not listening. So how do you do that? But likewise, when he goes, look, this is important. I want to spend time and come up with ideas generation with you. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put my laptop phone away because I know I'll get distracted. So it's compromise.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually heard someone describe it as, and I think everyone's done this. When you're on your own, you're driving down a motorway, and then your mind wanders, doesn't it? And then all of a sudden, you just think, "Oh my God, I've been driving for an hour," and you haven't been concentrating on the driving part. Your mind's just been wandering. So I heard someone describe basically what you're talking about as like switching off, like you're doing something, but you're actually not doing it.
You're asleep, but you're
sort
asleep.
of zombie driving, so to speak.
Yeah, completely agree with that. But I do, as I say, for me, because again, with your business, you've got so many hats on.
Yeah.
And time is your most valuable asset. So it's about, I like being that productive. And it was something that I did bring from corporate world, whether that's right or wrong. It was like, you've got half an hour. Use that half an hour really well. And it stops the people coming with huge presentations when it's just like, let's discuss, make a decision. So one of the things I learned was fail fast. Although I did tell this to someone who worked for me, and he was like, okay. And then he said, I failed. I said, no, that's not what it means. But it's like, let's start doing something because then we can adapt instead of just, okay, let's wait for perfection.
Try and plan it out to the nth degree, and then you're going to start where you started in the first place anyway. So
that's the thing on like social media. We were talking about this morning. No one talks about their failures while they're doing them. They always talk about the successes afterwards, but the failing part is the learning part.
Yeah.
So, no one really talks about that.
That's the fun part anyway.
Yeah.
Like, in hindsight, at the time, it's like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah. It really is. It's just like, that's where you learn the most.
Yeah.
And that's where I sometimes do a bit of consultancy. And I always get asked, why can you charge that much? And I was like, because I've learned from doing it wrong. Like, I always think it would be great if I could go back to myself when I started the business in 2019 with a big long list and say, here's all the mistakes you made.
Yeah.
Don't do this. And then, but that's part of the journey.
Exactly.
Like, that's where I am now because I've learned the hard way.
Yeah, totally.
Don't put wine in the freezer. It freezes.
Yeah. What about red wine in the, where's that going? Because that's a bit of a grey area, isn't it? Some people like it in the cold, some people like it.
I've seen something the other day. Apparently, you heard it here first. Red wine with ice cream is going to be a trend coming.
Really?
Yeah. We're going to try it in the summer. So
when you say red wine with ice cream, what together?
Yeah.
Or
together.
Or ice cream and a glass of wine?
No.
What, like red wine flavoured ice cream?
Yeah. Oh, no. So you get your 2 scoops of vanilla, then you pour a glass of red wine in it, and then you mix it up, and then So we'll be trying that this year.
Yeah.
I must admit, every season we have different drinks. One of the best ones we've done is frosé, which is frozen rosé wine basically, which can be very deadly because it's very easy to drink and quite alcoholic because we used to put a little bit of gin in and
just to really see them off.
Exactly. So it changes. But going back to your question, so apart from ice cream, it's very dependent on you. So you can put certain red wines in the fridge and have them cold. You need to think about low tannins in the red wine because again it can impact it. But if you go like a nice low alcohol, either Uruguayan wine last week that was perfect for chilling. and we did that on the Thursday, and I chilled it for customers. And they were like, "This is really nice, a red wine that's cold." And there's a time and place, because last Thursday it pissed it down. So do you really want a cold red wine when it's? But in the summer you do. So it's, and I always say this. So with white wines, if you chill a white wine too cold, it hides the flavors. So that's why some establishment will give you a really cold bottle of white wine, because it hides it. And when it warms up, you realize how disgusting the white wine is. So me and my wife, she likes her white wine really cold. I like it a bit warmer because it's more complex. So we've compromised. We have 2 separate bottles now, because she was just putting it in the fridge and I would take it out.
Different houses.
Yeah, exactly. And with red wine, it's just, this is where, you can go with all the science, here's the degrees it should be, but it's personal preference. Like, it's, if you like an ice cube in it, so what?
Absolutely,
It doesn't matter. Yes, I can say that there's going to be some interaction with but it doesn't matter. Just enjoy yourself and try it.
If people get a bit too poncy with it, or
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's just a bit ridiculous.
which is quite. I was going through your website. I'm not a drinker either, but I was going through your website and I was just obviously some you get the wine snobs, but it was readable, and I was laughing at even like the FAQs. Like, is it true you can open up a bottle of wine with a shoe, sort of thing? You wouldn't see that on a probably not on a real posh wine site. So
We've tried that.
Have you?
COVID, yeah. So we're boarding and lockdown. So, and it works. But so tips for you:
Right.
don't use a flip flop.
Okay.
You will smash the bottle. But use like a brogue shoe.
So wait, so is it you're
Like a
opening
wedding
it?
shoe sort of thing.
Yeah. So you get a wall,
Yeah.
and you basically put the wine there, make sure everything's off, and you just knock it against, and the cork will eventually come out.
Right. Okay.
The other good one is a bike pump. So you can put it down and it just pops the cork. I did watch the other day, and we're going to try this, hair straighteners.
Okay.
So someone did it on Insta, and half these things I'm like, is this true?
Yeah.
So one I tried was they had used a lighter, which was, we never actually posted it. We should have done, because it literally, I was standing there with a lighter with a bottle of wine for about half an hour. Nothing happened. So bike pump.
Is the one.
Yeah, or a shoe, but not flip flops.
Okay.
That's
If
high
we
tech.
had a wedding shoe here, then I'd be thinking of a live demo.
Well, there again, yes, sometimes it doesn't work, but we have got that on social media. You can see me do it with a shoe, and the funny thing about it was I didn't think it was going to work, and then you just see my surprise going, oh, it actually works. So, because talking of mistakes, one of the first events I ever did, I can't believe I'm showing this, I forgot to take a bottle opener, which, as a wine person, I literally always have one in. I've even got stuff in the car that I can open. And I was just like, okay, adapt, talking what we're like, okay, what can I do? So, okay, I could do this with my shoe, because there was a wall, and I was like, I could quickly do this. And then, and this is why it's quite good having other stuff. They were like, why don't we just ask the place if they've got a bottle? I was like, I like it. So they did.
You were dyslexic. You were thinking outside.
Yeah, I was like, because I was trying to work out how long it would take to open each bottle with the shoe, because it takes, I don't know, about a minute probably.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so I could do this. But then she went, shall I go and ask the place? And I was like,
Better idea.
yeah. But it was, they had probably a bottle opener that your parents would have, the old fashioned one.
Yeah.
Which I just hadn't used in absolute years. And I was just like, how do I do this? And
I
I was
think that's the norm. What's
Yeah,
the, what's the,
I've
what's
got
the
one of
Nubo
those.
way?
no, I like that.
Is it like the suckies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we learn something every day, don't we?
I like
Still
to
got
take
one of
a
the
quick look at the sucky.
On that note, thanks so much for coming in, mate.
All right.
Thank you very much.
And if anyone wants to buy some English wine, it's just the English Vine.
English Vine, yeah,
.com.co.uk.
Co.uk. And as I say, come into the bars in Chelmsford.
Yeah.
And then
And the bar is called.
First. It's right by the train station.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
Lovely. Thanks for coming, Neil.
Cool.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you.